Okay, now the South African Police Service has updated the nation on the progress or lack of progress in their fight against crime. The quarterly crime stats for the period April to June this year indicate a slight decrease in murder and sex crimes between the 1st of April and the 30th of June. However, cases of attempted murder are on the rise. Pule Letswiti Jones was listening very closely to that brief. He's back now. He's going to be telling us really what are some of the highlights. Pule, good afternoon. Welcome to today. There are some slight decreases in some categories of crime, especially violent crime. But overall, things are still not looking good. But a slight decrease would indicate perhaps that maybe for the first time the police are beginning to make progress in tackling some of those hardcore crimes.
Definitely, and as far as you understand, since post-COVID-19, the police saying that, you know, they see there's a decline in some of the crime stats as well, but they're not quite impressed. They feel as though they need to go back on the ground and improve in terms of fighting the murder rates as well. We're speaking about between April and June this year, police recorded about 6,228 counts of murders. This is 196 less people killed compared to the same time last year. So it goes to show you that there's still a lot of work that has to be done. The numbers are still high, yeah. The numbers are still stubbornly high, and the police have reaffirmed themselves to say that they will continue to go to the streets and ensure that they fight crime. One of the elements that have been introduced, of course, from Operation Ukaumalawu is Operation Cele, which is an operation that looks at fighting crimes in communities.
Is that a national one?
That's a national one.
Ukaumalawu is Gauteng.
Ukaumalawu is now national. Operation Cele is now in Gauteng.
Okay.
That's the one that's looking at fighting crime in Gauteng. But they've compared this operation, and that's why Ukaumalawu was promoted to national, because they believe this is an operation that is quite essential and important in terms of fighting crime as well. And from what we understand, about 90,000 suspects have been arrested in terms of this Operation Cele that's been implemented here.
And those arrests were April to June.
That's between April and June as well. But, you know, as much as we're seeing what we're seeing right now, there's still a persistent issue in terms of also house robberies. This is one headache giving the police the challenges, and they're saying that they need to focus on this issue here in terms of eradicating it in communities and, of course, fighting crime. Let's take a listen to what the minister had to say earlier on.
While it is early days, the effectiveness of the high-density operations are showing in the decline of these crime figures. While the declines cannot all be attributed to Operation Cele, its value and impact to the overall policing strategy is noticeable. Communities have so far welcomed the aggressive approach to crime, and it is on this score that the policing strategies that are leading us in the right direction will be intensified for more favorable results. As of today, Operation Cele has netted 99,754 suspects for various crimes, including murder, rape, assault, and other serious charges. And it will be good to note that most of them are in custody as we speak.
Yeah. You know, one thing that one notices from the latest crime stats, by the way, Pule, is the fact that while the overall murder rate has come down with the numbers that you've read for us, there were more women and children and police officers murdered during April and June compared to the same period last year. And that's really worrying. But there's another big concern. There's zamazamas. And we know what there's been recently, communities feeling fearful and gunfights and all those sorts of things. You spoke to the minister about that?
Yeah, definitely. And just to also speak on what you just mentioned, from the 6,000 murders, about 1,100 women and children were murdered as well. That's a really high rate in terms of the murders there. 31 police officers also murdered within the past 3 months as well. That shows you that there's still much that has to be done by the men in blue in our communities. Zamazamas also being a persisting issue in our communities. Operation Cele has been at the core of eradicating these illegal mining activities in Gauteng. But they're witnessing a different pattern right now, that this illegal mining is spilling over also to other provinces. And like we know, Zamazamas move around Britain where there's a lot of mining activities or disused mines as well, to see if they can salvage
we have
any
more than
opportunities as well.
6,000 disused mines, according to Minister Gwede Mantashe told us last week. And the government can only close about 40 of them every year because of lack of money.
I mean, you spoke to the minister, Britain, and he said that as well, that because of the lack of money, they cannot close all of these holes. We've seen how important these holes have been for the Zamazamas. When they have a shootout and an encounter with the police officials, they will quickly run into those holes again, making it quite difficult for the police manpower to follow them into those holes. So that's one critical element that the police say they will be working with the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy to try and close down these mines. There's an operation called the Sub-Operation, which we now understand was, of course, established on Tuesday. General Fani Masemola, the National Commissioner, saying that this operation has proven to be quite essential in fighting some of these illegal mining activities in the country, and not only in Gauteng as well. Let's take a listen.
The first team to look at Zamazamas was in the year 2018-2019 that started in Free State. What is this? Velkom. It started in Velkom because Zamazamas went underground and they diverted both electricity and water to their operations rather than communities. So we had to put a special operation there as early as 2018-2019. So these operations have been going and all that, but for now, we have agreed that maybe dealing with one item at a time won't work, so we just need to unleash all the strength of the state, including other departments, Jones. That's why these 6,001 holes will be led by the Department of Minerals together with the business and whoever is responsible. But also, the enforcement will be led by the police and all other law enforcement that are there, your Metro Police, your police, your special forces, the SNDF members where it's necessary, but also the prosecution will have to be part of that.
Police Minister Cele ending that update there from Pule Letswiti Jones about the latest quarterly crime stats for the period April to June this year.